Welcome to another episode of Business Highlight. My name is Pedro. I'm your host, and this is a show by the Boca Raton Tribune that comes out every Friday at 2 p.m. If you haven't followed us on social media, check out our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They're all Boca Tribune, also YouTube at Boca Tribune as well. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Ed Raine, the president and CEO of the nonprofit Food for the Poor. Thank you for taking your time talking to us today, Ed. How are you?
So very good, and thanks for having us on the show.
Of course, it's great. I was just like we're talking before the show and how we've I've helped out before in the past, and I thought it was such a great idea to have you on to talk about what you guys do, and it's great. I love what you guys do, and so I'm excited to talk to you a little bit.
Excellent.
So for those that don't know, introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and we'll go from there.
Okay, perfect. Well, so I've been the president and CEO for the last just a little over a year. Been with the organization for about 3.5 years, and my background before that was all corporate. I was really working with technology companies, global reach, lived on aircraft and so forth. And I went on a mission trip with Food for the Poor in 2009 to Haiti, and it was life-changing. And I knew at that time that maybe there would be an opportunity to come and do something different. And if it wasn't, I knew my life was going to be changed forever, because when you see that level of poverty and the scale of it, you can't unsee it. You know that something needs to be done, and someone has to do it. So why not us, right? So anyway, here I am. I'm very privileged to be leading this organization, and just having a wonderful time. This is an extraordinary organization working with extraordinary people.
Yeah. So for those that don't know about Food for the Poor, what is it exactly, and what do you guys do?
Well, we're an international sort of humanitarian and development organization. We do relief through to development. So we're there in times of emergencies, and we stay and really try to stabilize, typically individuals, families, groups, villages that are in tremendous need. And our work is concentrated in 17 countries, really surrounding the Caribbean Sea. So the sort of Jamaica, Haiti, especially, and then Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua. These are some of the 17 countries. We really aren't as well known in the U.S. because our work is really focused on these countries where there really is no safety net for the poor. We're talking about extreme poverty, people for whom if you didn't do something for them really couldn't help themselves.
You guys have been around for 39 years. That's a long time. I heard you guys just celebrated your 39th anniversary. And you guys did this event, right? Talk about
we did, and it was just a wonderful moment for us. So, I believe in tradition. I believe in respecting and honoring the tradition. And in our case, I didn't want us to ever forget why we started. And we were able to bring our original founder in to really talk about those early days, what inspired him. And of course, we are a Christian ministry, so this is all about living the gospel and, really serving others, following, love God and love thy neighbors. And it's basically what it's all about. And, we have historically obviously provided food as relief, but that's also now, we've built 85,000 homes, and we ship all kinds of materials and support that allows people to do, many different things. So we help build and repair schools. We help with clinics. We do a lot of medical supplies, a lot of medicines. Again, pretty much anything that you could imagine someone who is in dire poverty is going to need. So it deals with the basics.
Yeah, and so you're talking like you mentioned a little bit earlier how Food for Poor isn't really well known in the United States, but I'm sure you guys have done some type of programs that maybe the community and the listeners might have heard of, and you go, "Oh, that's Food for the Poor." Well, you guys have any of those events?
Yes, we do, and in fact, I would say, we're really now focused on making sure that people do know that we're, really neighbors, right? So, and COVID helped us a lot with that because. First and foremost, you have to understand our fundraising is really to donors in the U.S., right? There's an incredible generosity. We got a lot of established donors who help us year in, year out. But we work heavily with the churches in the U.S. So we have clergy who kind of on our staff that will go out and represent what we do, and those collections come back to us, and it helps us do a lot of our programming. So now, a lot of those churches couldn't have services in the last year because of COVID. So
Right.
we did a lot more kind of using virtual technology to get get some messages out there. But we also partnered with some of the local churches to provide sort of relief goods to those people in our communities that suddenly found themselves without jobs and without resources. So we all saw those lines of cars circling those food banks and so forth. And we were able to do that with some of our churches, some of the churches we already had relationships with here locally. And that was very important to us because it did connect us within the context of our community.
Yeah.
And the other big event, I think, that we've done the last couple of years is really just happened with the February 14th, third anniversary of the tragedy at Marjory Stoneman Douglas. I mean, that we sort of worked with, we actually had a packing event when we could all come together last year, and that allowed us to send food to into our countries, etc. But this last year we had to sort of really teamed up more virtually, and so Parkland is neighbors us. We're in Coconut Creek, right?
Yeah.
So it's and we had staff members who have kids and nephews and nieces who attended MSD. So this for us has been somewhat born out of the tragedy. We've had the opportunity to sort of step in and to make sure that we're able to serve locally as well as internationally, and we're going to be doing a little bit more of that. It still won't take away. Our primary focus is going to be international.
Right. So you mentioned a little bit about COVID-19. How has it affected Food for the Poor as a whole in this past year? Because it's almost been a year. I can't.
Yes, we're moving fast to the anniversary of it.
I know.
So
how has it affected you guys, and how have you guys been able to?
Well, it was certainly a major concern when we were, like everybody else, given a very short time frame to figure out how to kind of reinvent how we worked, right?
Yeah.
So sending everybody home, well, what are they going to do? How long? We all thought it was going to be a couple of weeks
Right.
back last March, right? Well, here we are, it's almost a year. So we had to really equip everybody and prepare everybody to work remotely. So that was a revolution. We didn't really do that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was so funny. The March 20th, when we really all were sent home, was going to be our practice day on Zoom. Well, it turned out that it wasn't the practice day; it was go live, right? We had to, and so we adapted quickly, and I'm just so impressed with our team. They really responded because we knew that lives depended on our ability to get our act together, and we had to adapt quickly, and we did. And I again just unbelievably grateful, and we're so blessed that we had a strong year. We were able to keep, we didn't freeze. We adapted. We got on with the job, and we had to be there for a lot of people who needed help. Remember those 2 hurricanes that hit Central America? Well, we were
Right.
very much present in the aftermath of that.
Mm-hmm.
And with COVID, it also required us to gear up for a huge campaign and response for food. And so in the countries, we had a campaign that exceeded $10 million, and we were able to truly help many, many countries that, were just devastated because the economies collapsed. And so, COVID was definitely something that reshaped the organization, sort of structurally adapted,
Right.
forced us to adapt. But I'm happy to say that we were able to, get traction and be able to be there for those that were being just devastated by the impact of COVID all around.
Right. And are you guys back to the office like normal, or you guys like decided, hey, you know what, it kind of makes sense is to stay home sometimes, like a couple of days a week? How does that work?
Right. Well, we're still more or less as we have been for the last year. So we have a sort of really a small crew, some warehouse folks, some of the folks who will, open the mail, and obviously there's checks in that mail. So we need to do that, and the mail room. So it's probably only about 25 to 30 people on a given day, which we usually have about 300 and something people here. So it's definitely a quiet office. But, it is so important to, we can't do anything if we don't have a healthy team. So frankly, we're just prioritized the health of our team members above all else. And I know that for some, it's easier than others to work remotely. And, I'm sorry for those that are sort of really feel the pressure of trying to deal with so many things working from home. But, we kind of had to. It's just a testament to the perseverance of our team members. We have to function so that we don't let down the people who depend on us.
Yeah, guys, we're talking to Ed Raine, the president and CEO of Food for the Poor. Check out the website at foodforthepoor.org. You'll see that link below in the bio right now, I believe, somewhere. There it is, foodforthepoor.org for more information. Ed, talk to me a little bit about you kind of touched a little bit on it beforehand, but what are some of the countries that people can hey, I know that place that Food for the Poor currently is helping out at
Yeah. Well, look, one of the things that I have to say is that we have such a diversity in South Florida that all the countries that we work in, we have, there are people who hail from those countries, right? So whether it's Jamaica, whether it's Haiti, Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, we operate in really the 17 countries. Pretty much are represented in South Florida. So, one of the things that we're anxious to do is to make sure that people know that we're operating in those countries because, culturally and familially, this is home for so many people. I mean, and I really do think this is something, again, that we haven't done as well as we hope to in the future in terms of reaching out to, the diaspora for all of these countries because people do want to help, the country they came from, and they've got family there that need help, or they know of people that need help. So, I think it's again, I encourage people to look on our website. You can get the full list of all the countries. You can see a map. You can see what we do. But it is, we are an organization that, brings in, 900 plus million a year of revenue to help those countries. We are, a large nonprofit that really seeks to do the most we can to help so many organizations really deliver relief to development. And if you add it all up, you mentioned the 39-year anniversary. Well, we're closing in on about $17 billion of aid that we've been able to distribute in that time. Wow. So that gives you a sense of the scale. We're not a small organization, and we have literally thousands of organizations that we partner with in the countries that are making this happen.
That's awesome. Ed, so you've been around, so you've been the president and CEO for about a year, you said, right?
Correct.
What has been your favorite, your most memorable moment so far as the president and CEO of the company?
Well, this is probably easy. I mean, which president and CEO in their first 90 days is presented with COVID, right? So, and I just have to, again, remark on our extraordinary team members who made it, possible. We got through it. And I will never forget this. Whatever happens in the future, I will never forget this year of 2020 and what we had to do. And it was a team effort. This wasn't about one person. It wasn't just about our executive team. There was everybody coming together and figuring out what they needed to do differently. So that's the biggest memory I'll take away.
It's funny because I've interviewed some other people that's been their first year in their company, and I asked the same question. Everyone says the most memorable moment wasn't something like amazing. It was like, oh, COVID.
Well,
everyone's gonna remember that for the rest of their life.
We'll never forget it.
So the people that are listening that say, man, I want to get involved in Food for the Poor and I want to donate my time or whatever it may be. What are some ways that they can help out Food for the Poor?
Well, I think it's to make this an easy response, I would say go to our website, foodforthepoor.org. I mean, we've got a lot of information on there that allows you to kind of see what we do and who we do, who we go through to get these things done. You can get a perspective of the different countries. You can get a perspective of that we do food, we do water, we do health, medicines and medical supplies. We build houses, we build villages, we build schools. These are all of the things that, as I said earlier, are the basics. These are the building blocks because, and the other piece that I want to just really bring to the fore is that we're trying to help people lift themselves out of poverty, which means we've got to help them create jobs and to be able to sort of have the tools to do those jobs. So whether they be agricultural, whether it be, baking, or it's welding, or it's whatever it is, repair, machine repairs, we're trying to really work so that the vocations can be developed so that people aren't just being fed. That's a short term. We're trying to look at the long term as well. What is it going to take to make sure that you don't slip back into that terrible poverty situation that you came from?
No, great tops. Before I let you go, I ask everyone this question when they come on, so you're not going to be any different. I'm going to ask you too. What is some advice you would give to someone that wants to get involved? So in your case, so that wants to get involved in working at a nonprofit or things of the nature. What's some advice you'd give them?
So it's a wonderful question, and I think I'm going to kind of go back to my own experience. Allow yourself to see what goes on with a nonprofit. For me, it was actually going on the mission trip right to Haiti and sort of seeing it firsthand. But all nonprofits have a way for you to experience something, whether it's through their websites or as in person if it's a local nonprofit. But just be curious. Go and see what they do and find where your passion is. What we find with so many of our donors is that they really have a passion for maybe the food part or the water solutions or water wells, or it's medical. Yeah. People tend to have real passions, just like they have passions for animals. They say, look, I care about this, and we have that too. So there's so many things that we do that you will find something that really relates for whatever reason. Maybe this is something that's been a source of challenge for you personally in your early life, or if you've got friends or family who's struggling, and you say, look, I can make a difference, whether it's through your time, whether it's through your money, or it's through your advocacy. All three make a difference. And it is this how can you make a difference question that to me is well served by getting involved in understanding what a nonprofit does. And then you don't know where it leads. You might end up being the CEO of one of these organizations.
That's great, guys. Again, talking to Ed Raine, the president and CEO of Food for the Poor. Their website is foodforthepoor.org. Ed, thank you so much for taking your time and talking to us today.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks for having us on.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap up another episode of Business Highlight. I hope you found this episode informative. I know I did. If you enjoy the content, make sure to share it with your friends on social media. We're on every channel, like right there in the bottom, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all Boca Tribune. Tune back in next week as we continue talking to local business owners and nonprofits about what they do in our community. Until then, have a great weekend.